Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman once again, back for another video. DC Camp, Great Millstone. But first and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah HaKodash. And of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and the byways, pushing the truth across the four corners of the earth. Damn. You know what? This just goes to show you, and for you people out there that are still stuck on stupid, you and you see a lot of videos now of jakes that claim to once be in the truth. They're now jumping ship. Oh man. Well, your faith was small to begin with. We hadn't even started to go through shit. Alright, as the scripture says. Alright, in fact, I'll pull that up while I'll start this video. But what this has to do with, I'm sure you've read the title by now. This rabbi goes before a committee and is trying to get them to specifically draft legislation on anti-Semitism. I want you to understand what they're trying to say here. Alright. Let's just go into the video. Again, this is the amazing Lucas, and before that, I almost forgot. Let's get this out of the way. This is the copyright, the disclaimer, and it says under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. See what's going on here is what they're trying to get in America. That's what's going on. Has been for a while over in Europe, where if you deny the Holocaust, you can be fined or jail time or prison time or both. They're trying to get that over here. Alright, see, we kept how many times? You see a lot of you not paying attention, outside of what's going on in your hood. I mean, consider this, the audacity of these pieces of shit. Not only that, Americans are letting them do it. I mean, they've got these Americans, these Christians. Boy, they use the fuck out of it. I mean, the manipulation is just wow. Well, let's go ahead and start the video. This, I don't know about you, but I got pretty hot watching this. Oh, here we go. Mm, 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 mm. But, 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 and we know them as the nation of Edom, the so-called white man. Alright, in specific, the ones that run this world, the elite banking families. Alright, but actually it's all of them, because a lot of them have sided with the elites and have just rolled and gone along with the program. They have been complicit, in other words. So they all got to go. The Most High, He punishes what? Nations. And they're the only nation, when you go look it up in the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, that will receive no mercy, none, from the Most High. None. Because they were created to be the wicked. Alright? Let's get this real quick. Oh, let's let it play a little bit more. Mm. Yep. Mm-hmm. 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 But see, we're not to uh, worry about none of that. We want to see this motherfucker fall. All right. There's no saving this place. You know, Jeremiah 50. You know, there's no healing in the bruise. You know, I'll get that later on, but we're looking forward to the downfall of this place. This place has been very bitter for our people. You know, we're not black and all this other shit. I just use this, videos like this, and but I gotta correct, whenever shit like this because it not only irks me, but as you get caught up in these, hey, you're black, you know, all these bywords and shit like this, and when you understand how devastating it actually is, we're assaulted and insulted daily, really. Uh, but Jake, by and large, is not going to grasp that. They're so caught up in, the influence of Kemet and a lot of other philosophers. But I just, whenever I think he's, going off, got to correct him because we don't subscribe to that. All right, we're Israelites, and these people that he's talking about stole our identity. All right, and now they're pushing because they're being exposed. All right, they're looking for protection by law. And let me get this while I'm thinking about it. This is uh, it's going to be Psalms. Uh, let's see. As soon as it responds here, there we go. 94 and 20. All right. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law? And that is mischief. All right. And it's talking about the throne, talking about power, and it's talking about the rulers. All right. And this is evils, that are being done to us. And as you go one further, Verse 21 says, they gather themselves together against the soul of the righteous, which is what they're doing, and condemn the innocent blood. All right? And, this is King David here, and he had a lot of experience with this, uh, against these peoples, the nation of Edom, the so-called white people. All right? And we might as well just finish it on out. 22, but the Most High is my defense. And that's what we're trying to tell Jake. Because, hey, it's going to get real out here. These people are trying to preserve that lie. And they're going to go to any lengths. For those of you who haven't been paying attention since October the 7th, 2023. All right? And my God is the rock of my refuge. 23, and he shall bring upon them their own iniquity, and shall cut them off in their own wickedness. How about that? Yea, the Most High, our power, our God, shall cut them off. Book of Obadiah. All right, let's continue. Mm-hmm. And to be more specific, we're talking about our people. And there's that old um, uh, uh, southern expression about fattening frogs for snakes. And Jake has done that for so many. And what's happening now with we have a large protest here in D.C. coming up on the 5th, which will be this coming Saturday, this weekend. And a lot of these protests, you're not seeing a lot of them advertised. Why? A lot has to do with Jake not being or participating in other people's shit. And they're wondering, why? What? Because you got to remember that George Floyd rumor about them, the president pardoning him, and a lot of Jake just said, we don't care, and they're like, oh shit. So apparently it's like, well, they're so used to manipulating us into going out there acting a fool, and then they can draft up legislation, hey, keep the prisons full, right? You gotta always point to us as, the bad guy, but as of late, that strategy isn't working. Now, I just checked. Let me see if I can find it. Here's the FBI. Well, you know what? Let's just let this run. I'll come to that. Man, it really gonna piss you off. Here we go. Mm. And that's the thing. What he's going to go into here. That I'm Just the audacity of these cave dwelling pieces of shit. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Yep. Yeah. Yeah, because they're converts. They're Edomites. And there are books that tell you this. They tell you themselves. But they've been running a game on a group of idiots called Christians. People that are scared to actually know the truth. And a lot of Jake, you got to understand, at the root of their resistance is they really, in their spirit, they do not want to uh, be beholden to the law, statutes, and commandments. That's why we're here in the first fucking place, in our condition. He's saying spirits come back. There is such thing as reincarnation or regeneration, as it says in the New Testament. All right? And all these people did was jump in our stead, so to speak. And it has been very profitable. You actually think they want to, you know, they want this lie to end. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went. So you got to understand, this is the doing of the Most High at the end of the day. You know, he's putting it in their minds uh, to keep going overboard. You know, and that October 7th bullshit. All right, heavily exposed them. Even the ones that tried to deny what they were actually seeing, you know, or what information they came across as to them not being who they said they were forced to see. This is fucked up. These people are a bunch of lying, murdering pieces of shit. These are not the Israelites. That's why there's no, uh, I think it's a law. Don't hold me to it, but I know they're against, at the very least, they're against having DNA test done. Now that should tell you something. Since it was them that came up with this shit anyway, DNA. But you don't have to be a so-called intellectual uh, to realize that the same people that were there back in ancient times are not the same ones that are there now. Mm. What? What? Yeah. And I'm going to show you what he's doing. And this is what they are trying to pull on the people. Get a load of this. This is in Kansas. Kansas House backs anti-Semitism bill, but refuses to condemn all racism and discrimination. And this is the appears to be a Jake um, representative that brought this to the House floor there in Kansas. And look at in the background. Look at the look. This look, just hate. Look like she's looking up though. But this one here, laser. Look at this, fat, fork chin fucker. Like she's not, Topeka. House Republicans refused, find it interesting, it seems to be along party lines, to consider a plea from Democratic representative, which it really doesn't matter because they're both in on it. I just thought, it would appear that they have the majority, at least in a good deal of places. From Democratic Rep Valdinia Wynn to send a message that there's no place for racism in the state of Kansas. Wynn, a Kansas City Democrat, proposed an amendment to House Bill 2299, which declares that anti-Semitism is against the public policy of the state. Remember what I told you. They want what is established in Europe as far as Holocaust denial and penalties for you denying it. Think about what I'm saying here. For you denying, see, this is some gangster shit. You can't even form your own opinion. This is some dictator shit. And everybody's just, oh well. It says she wanted to expand the language to condemn all forms of racism and discrimination. This is not rocket science, Wynn said during a March 19 debate in the House. This is not trigonometry. This is basic. Republicans wouldn't hear it. Representative Susan Estes, a Wichita Republican, objected to Wynn's proposal under a House rule that says amendments have to be germane to the existing bill. That sent members of the Rules Committee into a scramble to conceive a reason to reject the Democrats' idea. Because I looked germane up, and what are we talking about here? Discrimination, right? Racism. That's the topic, right? And germane simply means relevant to a subject under consideration. So here's where that separation comes into effect. They're trying to distinguish racism against the so-called Jews from everybody else. But when I looked up the stats, I understand this shit they're talking about happened over there in Europe. What the fuck does that have to do with what's happening over here? Especially when it comes to us. You see how insulting this shit is? This is Arab American Institute. Alright? This is Ishmael, right? It says 123 anti-Arab single bias incidents were reported. This is the highest ever number of anti-Arab incidents since the FBI began collecting data on the category in 2015 and a 34% increase since 2022. Now, I understand this is them putting this together, right? Anti-Arab hate incidents were removed as a reporting category from federal statistics prior to the release of the FBI's first comprehensive annual report in 1992. Because of, all right, so this is going on for 33 years as of this year, right? Because of this, anti-Arab hate was excluded from federal statistics for over 2 decades and was only included again in 2015. I wonder why. But in any case, we're going to focus on us. And it says hate crime incidents reported in the United States. Let's go back to 2018, single bias incidents. As a total, 7,162. Race, ethnicity, ancestry. All right. Now look down here. 2018. More than double what it was for Edomites. Say 1,945 against our people. Nobody else even comes close. 2019, same thing, like 3 times when you compare it to Edom. By far, us. 2020. Now, what happened in 2020? Floyd, right? So you go up by 1,041 from 2019 and you get 2,971. Again, as compared to Edomites, all right, over 3 times, right? All right, so 2021, again, wow, almost 3 times as many. And now I'm just saying these 2 because nobody else comes close. All right. Even Northern Kingdom. 2022. Almost 4 times. 3,421 versus 966. Oh man. The next closest one is Northern Kingdom. 738. 2023, 3,027 compared to 831, and Northern Kingdom is right behind that. 4 times as many. Look at that. But we can't get anybody on the House floor. We can't get anybody to say, hey, but the Moab got it a couple of years ago. Quick, fast, in a hurry, too. Even when Moab, it came out, they said, what are you talking about? It's not the so-called blacks, but they just had to push that. Daily, we are assaulted in various forms and insulted. Mm-hmm. Back to the video. Yep. As the scripture said, we will have no power. What is the curses? Let me get that. All right. Proving who we are and who they are not. All right. Because it even says in the curses that would be so. So let's go to Deuteronomy. All right. 28. Whoops. 28. All right. Again, these curses, this is Moses telling him, if you do the first 14, if you abide by the law, statutes, commandments that were set forth before you, you will be, hey, Deuteronomy 7 and 6, we were supposed to be above all the other nations, right? you know, uh, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Most High. All right. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. No matter where we go, blessed. Blessed should be the fruit of the body, which is what? The children, right? And the fruit of the ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. But 15, it tells you, all right, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And it starts out, mm, 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 mm. And it's only one group of people that these all apply to, and it's not them. Let's start with this one. You want to wonder why these people are allowed to set up shop in our neighborhoods? You know, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not, remember verse 15, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Most High thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And these curses, it says, they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Because thou servest not the Most High thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Who do our people want to? So-called white man. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Meaning we would have no power. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle. Clue. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, a nation of fierce countenance, which shalt not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young. And they are some hideous looking people. But they reversed. Everything's upside down. That hideous look of theirs has become the standard of beauty. How about that? All right. 51, it said, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed. And what gave him that? That blessing that he got in Genesis 27th chapter, from verse 38 on down. He was blessed with what? The sword. And also his ability to deceive. But the main thing is, how did he get everything? By way of the sword. All right. He says, who also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase, I'm at 51, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall, 52, besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Think of all the settlements and places that we had established post chattel slavery, and they were destroyed. Destroyed by who? Out of jealousy and envy. Usually through one of their favorite methods was claiming that we raped one of their cave whores. Oh, that got a big reaction. Mm-hmm. Who?
Jewish students need more than protection from hate. They need to be empowered with a robust Jewish identity. As the Rebbe taught, the best way to combat darkness is with light. It is not enough to fight anti-Semitism. We must also promote a strong and proud Jewish
Man.
presence on campus. In other words, the best antidote to anti-Semitism is perhaps robust Semitism. Institutions should be more protected and
Look at
supportive
laughing in the
of
back.
Jewish student life and ensure that Jewish students clearly feel welcome and valued as members of their academic communities.
Who? Who? Again, these retarded ass Christians don't seem to get it in their mind that these people hate them. These so-called Jews hate them. All you have to do is look up the videos about when they go over there to Israel, them spitting on them and throwing things at them. They use the fuck out of these idiots. You know, good for them. Well, see, this is the thing. They run this. You know, people just don't get it. The elite banking families, in particular the Rothschilds, run this world. You got a lot of people here that think the president is the end all be all. You know, not realizing that he goes over there to kiss the rings and all this other shit. Oh boy. Yeah, yeah, you know, that's far enough. If you want to catch the rest of it, it's only like 4 minutes left, something like that. But the point's been made. You know, they like Revelation 12:12 says. You know, he knoweth he hath but a short time. I mean, they're like he said, the balls on this motherfucker, right? But that's being pushed from the top. All right, especially here. And because of us, they know that they're being exposed. And they're doing it in a way that they really have no answer for. So what's left? They got to do it by law, right? See, you people gonna realize, and far too late, that great millstone GMS was right all along. You know, wow. Hey, this is prophecy. At the end of the day, prophecy must be fulfilled. That's it. That's what it comes down to. So with that, oh man, once again, here's what Kansas did. Uh, and they flat out just said, nope, you niggers ain't getting nothing. We gonna back the Jews. Yeah. Wow, we gotta get the fuck up out of this place. We got to, and that's the mindset you should be in. Isaiah 51:14, the captive exile hasteneth to be loose. 2 Peter 3:10 on down, 10 and 11 specific. All right. So with that, hey, until the next video, shalom.